After a 20-year absence, seeing the sculpture of the Bronco at Denver International Airport happily cemented the fact that we were back in colorful Colorado for a few days. We were eager to see what had changed and what had not since we were last here. One thing that's pleasantly changed is the absence of the infamous brown cloud of air pollution that used to sully the Denver skyline. Despite having the word colorful in one of the state's nicknames, in late September the foothills vegetation is its usual shades of yellow and brown. The prairie dogs blend in nicely as they scamper about in the warm morning sun, keeping sharp eyes out for predators. One of our first stops is at Dinosaur Ridge, an indoor-outdoor museum with colorful sculptures of Colorado denizens from long past ages and their actual massive preserved footprints. Ranked by paleontologists as the premier dinosaur track site in America, it's where the first Stegosaurus fossil, which happens to be the state fossil, was discovered. Apatosaurus reconstructions initially grab our attention. We take a tour of the park in the aptly named Apatobus, led by expert guide Kat. The first stop is to orient us to the vast expanses of time on display. These frozen ripple marks are believed to be from seabeds from over 100 million years ago, when Colorado was completely underwater. What a contrast from today! One can view many dino footprints that have been enhanced for visibility. Per this sign, once the water receded, they're thought to have been left by 25-foot-long duck-billed hadrosaurs, ostrich-like ornithomimids, and even ancient crocodiles. In contrast to those present-day prairie dogs, imagine how they might have scampered about. Further along the trail is a cast of a claw print from a velociraptor of Jurassic Park fame. It may be small, but you wouldn't want to be stepped on by that, would you? Kat and Maddie point to the huge bulges along a stratum of the ridge. They may have been left 50 million years before the first batch of footprints that we previously saw. The illustration on the sign makes these dipping bulges more understandable. These cutaway views reveal the result of heavy-footed, multi-tonned dinos stepping through the ancient mud. Dinosaur Ridge has a small but engaging set of indoor exhibits that displays these creatures in more detail, such as this pteranodon replica. For an even more detailed peek at these creatures, there's the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Before we go inside, though, look at the great view from its campus of the City Park Lake and Pavilion, the city skyline, and the Front Range. Whoa! This is quite a reconstruction of a deadly fight between a Stegosaurus and Allosaurus from long ago. The Wild West was never like this. The museum crams in a multitude of fascinating fossils, toothed and otherwise. Then there's Stretch, this full-length Diplodocus skeleton. A set of galleries shows life after the dinosaur age. Check out this gruesome-looking omnivorous pig-like entelodont and his pals, such as mastodons and tortoise ancestors. There is much more to this museum than paleontology. The gem and mineral exhibit is second to none. Featured are fascinating gemstone sculptures by Vasily Konovalenko. In the only exhibit of its kind outside of Moscow, he portrays sometimes poignant, sometimes comical scenes of Russian folklife. The vast museum is educational and entertaining, as these youngsters are finding out. This boy truly is on top of things and having a great time. Back to the Front Range and the famous Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater. It's about 10 miles west of Denver and close to Dinosaur Ridge. Built in the 1930s by $1-a-day Civilian Conservation Corps workers, the seating area is flanked by massive rust-red sandstone monoliths. Bounded by Shiprock, Stage Rock, and Creation Rock, and seating nearly 10,000 people at 6,450 feet above sea level, the setting is legendary for its scenery and acoustics. Thousands of famous acts have performed here. At over a mile high in elevation, we are struggling in the thin air, but these athletes are undeterred in getting in their exercise. How could we possibly be here without thinking of John Denver? Near the Trading Post gift shop is a statue of him with an eagle. In downtown Denver, from our vantage point near Mile High Stadium, a strong storm blew through the city one afternoon. A brilliant rainbow resulted. The arc gradually grew from a partial to a double half circle. What a dazzling show! This mural of Robin Williams nicely fits the mood that it created. Cruising on the steeply graded rise on I-70 west into the Rockies, more stormy weather looms ahead. But near the apex at Genesee Park, one is rewarded by the sprawling view of the majestic Continental Divide. While not particularly capped with snow at this time of the season, the road seems to disappear into it as we make the first of many descents and ascents. We zip through the Twin Veterans Memorial tunnels, then are greeted by the sun shining over the old gold mining town of Idaho Springs. At the quaint town's entrance is a symbolic mine shaft. Situated along Clear Creek and near a playground that has cute wooden bears on a garden arch, the Argo Gold Mine and Mill is open for tours. Towering over the town, it affords a wonderful vantage point for a drone overview of this scenic cut through the mountains. This was a major site for the gold and silver rushes of the 19th century. Later, we'll visit Leadville, another historic mining town. Returning to I-70, we are starting to see more aspen in their glorious fall colors lining the road. Contrasting that are the mountain summits hooded in white. Near the Loveland Ski Resort are the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels, which were an engineering marvel for their time, and still are. On the western side, down the steep 7% and greater slopes, the runaway truck ramp signs pose an ominous warning. The ramps rise very steeply and are designed to cause trucks to sink into them, making for an expensive extrication. Fortunately, none of the surrounding semis have a need for them at this moment. We continue downhill, then turn off the highway towards the rustic Dillon Inn, our travel home for the next 2 nights. Behind the hotel there rests an antique plow. In the chilly morning, figures of owls and roosters gaze at long clouds hovering over the aspen groves, separating them from the surrounding peaks. Picturesque Swan Mountain looks over Lake Dillon, flanked by the towns of Dillon and Frisco. The lake actually serves as a reservoir for distant Denver. There's time for a short but bracing hike on the trail shown on this map. The scenery pleasantly overwhelms us with fall colors and piney aromas. Now for We Were There photos taken by kind trailmates. To our delight, a Steller's jay with its crest, black and bright blue plumage appears, but quickly flits away from view. One more look at the lake, seeing Frisco on the west side. Then it's back to our car for a short drive to the resort town of Breckenridge on State Route 9. It takes us past more vivid aspen trees, of which we can't get enough. Our first destination in Breckenridge is a curious creature with the paradoxical moniker of troll. There are plenty of signs, and it's easy to find. A large parking lot is nearby. From it, there are unmistakable markings that lead to the short Trollstigen Trail. That's named after one of Norway's most famous scenic mountain roads, and it takes us to this smiling character. This is the second version of the troll, made from recycled materials by Danish artist Thomas Dambo, whose trolls are found worldwide. The first was so popular that it led to concerns due to people climbing on it, traffic congestion, and the noise that its visitors brought to the neighborhood. But it was sorely missed once it was removed. So, in 2019, Dambo rebuilt the 15-foot-tall Isaac Hart stone out of some of the original materials. It is now located in a slightly harder-to-find spot that is less annoying to nearby residents. Who can resist this lovable creation with its message of environmental sustainability? Breckenridge has a great deal of outdoor art. Downtown, in contrast to the friendly Isaac Hart stone, is Steely Uller, Norse god of snow. Another troll, this one with a long nose, seems to be laughing at we tourists. Or has he told too many lies like Pinocchio? Continuing along Riverwalk adjacent to the sparkling water of the Blue River, there's a rock column hearkening back to the town's hard rock mining past. The cobble column is part of a miner's dream collection by Robert Tully. A different study in recycled materials is this one of a hardware nature. It was named Taro by Fred Zeitz. Finally, a more abstract sculpture, called Syncline by artist Albert Paley, seems to wistfully point to the ski slopes, hoping for a good snow season. In nearby Vail, the pedestrian-only streets are busy with shoppers. The gondola lift is operating, taking sightseers up the snowless slopes. An aerial view of the surrounding landscape reveals the charming Swiss Alpine-themed village. The gondola cars quietly glide past each other. At the base, a profusion of sculptures and brightly hued flowers awaits. Drowsy bears, radiant flowers on a sculpture of an alert dog accompanying Vail founders Peter Seibert and Earl Eaton, and a jumble of birdhouses entitled "We Are All Building Nests" are some of the alluring attractions quietly vying for attention. Could this magpie be searching for one of the birdhouses? The tiny birdhouses are dwarfed by these immense Austrian and Tyrolean-styled restaurant buildings covered in long-vined hanging plants. We can't get enough of the aspen with their fluttering leaves. While most turn yellow, here's an exceptional, dewy orange-tinged leaf. Motoring north and following the Blue River, we are bound for a stop in Frisco. Frisco was named for a 19th century railway that ran to San Francisco. We seek the historic park and museum located in the town center. It's easy to find, and parking is straightforward, right by a white sculpture with very large hands. Just beyond the first few cabins, there is a colorful mural of the mountains and river. Quite appropriate. To its left is an accessible Ute Native American teepee. The sculpture of a boy hunter facing a massive bear is intriguing and somewhat poignant. It's called Repentance. Sorry, I really didn't mean to shoot that arrow at you. We glimpse into yesteryear as we explore the park that includes the old jail and several cabins. The cabin doors are closed, but through the windows are clearly visible antique stoves, bathtubs, a laundry wringer for clothes drying, and an old barber chair for one's tonsorial needs. Lying outside are many old rusted mechanical implements, such as this homemade saw powered by a Model A Ford engine and a road grader. The array of buildings here served as homes to families, trappers, and ranchers, as well as a schoolhouse, now museum, church, and spring house. As families grew and years progressed, so did the cabin architecture. We have time to squeeze in one more town on our tour. It's on to Leadville via Colorado Highways 91 and 24, passing eye-popping groves of, you got it, aspen. Crossing the Eagle River on the Red Cliff Bridge, we approach the state's tallest mountains. Those are Mount Elbert and the aptly named Mount Massive of the Sawatch Range. Both are 14ers, 1,000 feet high, that is. It looks like there's more than just a dusting of snow on their summits. Leadville, or as this sign points out, Cloud City or the rooftop of the U.S., sits at over 10,000 feet above sea level. That makes it the highest incorporated city in the country. A drive down the short and quiet main street of this once booming mining town gives glimpses into its past. Passing by the once ornate Tabor Opera House, a mural showing Victorian-age dining elegance, a Victorian-style house, and a synagogue built for the town's 1884 Jewish population of 300 takes us back in time. Then there's whimsical street art, such as this gold pan miner, the redneck wind chime constructed from beer cans and fishing lures, and this driftwood installation that includes antique bottles, a rusty ore bucket, and a crushed vintage metal pitcher. This mural is emblematic of Leadville's signature sport, ski joring, a unique event. Every March, the town turns out for this high-speed competition where a rider on horseback pulls a skier via rope over a race course of challenges. Heading north, The crown-like clouds gleam as the sun sets over the mountains in the San Isabel forest. Rounding a bend, you can imagine our excitement on seeing this spectacular golden-toned Fremont Pass. We are compelled to pull over and watch the breathtaking interplay of clouds and sunlight. It's like being in an Albert Bierstadt painting. Then, as is so often the case in the high country, the bright glow gives way to rain, mist, and low-hanging clouds, but our elevated mood remains unspoiled. On the way east on I-70, going towards Denver's airport, is the city's bison herd in Genesee Park. About 24 are peacefully resting and roaming in the fenced-in area, apparently undisturbed by cars rushing by at high speed. Back in the Colorado capital city, we get one last look at some of its public art and intriguingly designed buildings. Examples are the public library, the gilded state capitol dome, and the simultaneously angular and curvaceous art museum. Light rail cars roll by. A frieze on a bridge bulwark shows off some of the past and current symbols of the state. We hope you enjoyed accompanying us on this brief exploration of Denver, parts of the Front Range, and Colorado high country. A few things have changed, for the better, we think, and this part of the state remains a pleasure to visit.